وكلا نقص عليك من أنباء الرسل ما نثبت به فؤادك وجاءك في هذه الحق وموعظة وذكرى للمؤمنين.
Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Come to another session of Dawood, and though we finished Dawood alayhi salam, their father and son, and we're on to Sulayman alayhi salatu wasalam now. And the many powers that Allah gave Sulayman alayhi salam, where he was, he got powers that nobody else got. And you can imagine, the more power a person gets, the more you have to fear of them, and the greater their sovereignty or their rule will be on the earth. And Sulayman alayhi salam had power over the human beings, over the jinns, and we're not just talking about normal jinns here. We're talking about the maradatu shayateen. We're talking about the big devils, or the great jinns that had superpowers. He had control over them, and even they were afraid of disobeying Sulayman alayhi salam. So if they didn't listen to him, he just imprisoned them. And if they did listen to him, then they had to work for him. In fact, sometimes they worked for him for months and months, and without even a sound between them. So he had that power. On top of that, he had the power over the birds. He had the power over the birds that would go across the skies and keep watch over the different territories. Now this was almost like you having some really good satellite sort of power. Zooming into all the areas and knowing exactly where you stand with your enemies and those threats that are probably coming towards you. And not only that, but last week we heard that he understood the conversation between ants, or an ant that was talking to a colony of ants. He understood exactly what was said, and he stopped there, and he turned to Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, having so much power over his kingdom, he was quite satisfied that he was the one and only king. Now Allah Azza wa Jalla had given 4 individuals in the past a kingdom that when they were king, nobody else on the earth was king, or nobody had their likes of the kind of rule they had. No one had any competition with them of their day. 2 of them were Muslims, and 2 of them were kafir. Okay, so as for the Muslims, one was Sulayman alayhi salam. He was the greatest of all the different reigns and sovereignties. Sulayman alayhi salam had the greatest. And the other one was Dhul Qarnayn, because we understand from the Quran, he traveled to the extent of the earth, to the furthest east you can go to, and then the furthest west you can go to. He traveled all of that, and in between as well, where later on he traps Ya'juj, Ma'juj and so on. So we know these 2 individuals. The other 2 are, one is Namrud, who was the king at the time of in Babylon, in the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He had no competition in his time, and like we covered before, how his end was that Allah Azza wa Jalla, he challenged Allah so directly. He said, okay, where's the challenge? Come on, So he started to, throw arrows in the sky and saying, well, if you're in the sky, come down, come on, have a fight with me. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, that's when he sent his one small army was mosquitoes. So he sent them down, and they say that mosquitoes came and this man couldn't handle it, until that he took one mosquito in his nose, and that mosquito went straight to his brain, and he would start sucking blood from his brain. And so I've covered this before in the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So this was one who was a kafir, who was a disbeliever, and the second one was Fir'aun, who had his kingdom at his time. There was no competition he had while he was king. Now Sulayman alayhi salam, being the king he already had stated in the Quran, Surah number 27, ayah number 16, وَأُوتِينَا مِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We've been given from everything Allah has given us. And we've got this bounty. So he had no worries of his kingdom. And what he would do is that from Fajr till Dhuhr, he kept his father's legacy, which was to judge between people. So Fajr till Dhuhr, he sat there with people, and that was his time to judge between people. And while he was judging between people, nobody had nobody had the courage of moving an inch out of his command, because he could subdue you and put you into prison straight away. He built many great monuments in his time, and while he was doing that, and he was in his majlis or in his gathering, once he actually got all of his close ones together, the people who would report to him, the people who he would give daily tasks to. So we're talking about the human beings, they came, the close jinns, they came, the close birds, all of them came. And one of the things that we recognize from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was that Allah gave them this power. This power was that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam could be sitting in a gathering of several hundred people, and he could tell straight away who is absent. This is a miracle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we know this from the ahadith. He would turn around from his salah, he would turn around and he would be doing dhikr, and once he's finished his dhikr, he'd look at the crowd, and by just looking at the crowd, like if you guys looked at the crowd today without a register in your hand, how would you know that who's here, who's not here from a Wednesday evening? How would you know? You wouldn't. You think, yeah, is he? If it was a class, even then people take time to register, okay, he's not here, she's not here. And if you're talking about a class of 15, 20 individuals, that's fine. You can straight away tell who's here, who's not here. But if you had a class of 300 people, 400 people, 500 people, how would you know? But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of his mu'jizah was that he would turn around from his musalla and he would know straight away. Allah gave him this gift. He would know who's here, who's not here. And out of courtesy, not because he was trying to make people feel guilty and so on, no, out of courtesy, out of mercy, just so that he knows they're okay. After a few times he wouldn't see the same individual who had come for salah regularly to his masjid, and he would see them a few times, he hasn't seen them for a few days. That's when the Prophet ﷺ would say, where is so-and-so? Maybe a couple of days or something, he would say, where is so-and-so? How come I'm not seeing so-and-so? So it's not like, I'm monitoring you, I'm watching you, I'm your big brother, I want to see you here. It's not because of that, it's simply out of mercy, out of courtesy. So if you found out that individual was ill, Prophet ﷺ would go that day and he would visit that person. Now Sulayman ﷺ had the same thing. That imagine jinns, human beings, birds all together. And Sulayman ﷺ glances around and he notices one bird missing. This is amazing. Out of the whole of this, he's looking around, one bird missing, and it's the hoopoe bird. In English you call it the hoopoe bird, in Arabic you call it hudhud. So this is now Surah number 27, ayah number 20, where Sulayman as-salam, he notices that hudhud is missing, and he says, Mali, he says, what's the matter? La ara al-hudhud, I don't see hudhud, I don't see the hoopoe bird. Am kana min al-ghaibin, is the hudhud bird absent? And there's absolute silence here, because this is Sulayman alayhi salam. This is not any ordinary individual. He could do anything if somebody is not listening to what he wants to be done. And don't forget, please, this is not like a person who's got a lot of wealth and who's got a lot of power and just wants to make people just work for the sake of work. No. Everything Sulayman alayhi salam is doing is for people, for the community, and it's for Allah Azza wa Jal's sake. Obviously, ultimately it's for Allah's sake, and it's going to benefit everybody. So the whole structure he's got going around with building works, with people looking over, with making sure that the army is ready for any attacks, and for him judging between people, it's a wonderful sort of, he was in Jerusalem, he ruled from Jerusalem. So it was a wonderful empire that he had. Now, having someone missing meant that part of the job is not being done. Now, if you have someone, like let's say for example, this happens quite a lot. When you have a big function, I don't know if you guys ever organize the function. Even if you've organized the function in your house, you would know, you give the responsibility to someone to make the cake, you give the responsibility to someone to go and receive the guests from the door. you give somebody responsibility to maybe tidy up, you give somebody responsibility to do something else. Okay, everybody has a place. Especially the bigger the gathering, the more you have to look over it. Like for example, in Edmonton here, when we have that, once a year family barbecue or something, there's a lot going on. And every man has to stay at his post. And if you leave your post, you know what's going to happen. People start flooding in, or things will happen, go missing or whatever. You have to stick to your post. If you're a person who's got responsibility. So why he was upset with Hudhud is because Hudhud is supposed to come to this weekly, whether it was a weekly gathering, whether it was whatever, how many days he had this gathering, Hudhud's supposed to come and report back. If Hudhud is absent, that means we could have a threat. Okay? And because Hudhud has a particular job of looking over the skies and seeing, who might be coming to attack the kingdom. A small little position where you don't have people watching over, or the birds watching over, let's say, it could be a threat to the kingdom. So that's why Sulayman alayhi salam said, ayah number 21, لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. He said, I will punish Hudhud a great punishment, a tormenting punishment. Because this is not a normal job, this is a job of keeping a whole kingdom alive. أَوْ لَأَذْبَحَنَّهُ, or I will definitely slaughter Hudhud in front of others. Meaning that it's going to show that if this bird is not keeping its rank, then you lot, if whoever's listening to me, if you also leave your ranks, then all of us will be at a great risk. So I'm going to teach him a lesson. أَوْ لَيَأْتِيَنِّي بِسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. Or perhaps I'll give Hudhud the benefit of the doubt. That Hudhud has been out there, he's doing a job, and the job that he's doing, he's going to come to me with some good evidence or something that is going to be mighty for me to say, well, there's a good reason for him to be absent. So either he's absent without leave, in which case I'm going to punish Hudhud, or he's going to have a good reason, in which case I will wait. Not long went by, they were still there. Hudhud came in. فَمَكَثَ غَيْرَ بَعِيدٍ. Hudhud wasn't very far coming back to Sulayman alayhi salam. So Hudhud flew in, the Hoopoe bird flew in, and the bird spoke to Sulayman alayhi salam. Now this is amazing, okay? Imagine, I'd love to be there at that time. Imagine you're there, Sulayman alayhi salam speaking to the bird speaking to Sulayman alayhi salam. You understand what Sulayman alayhi salam says, you ain't got no clue what the bird says, right? So you have to wait till, some translation or something has been done, or Sulayman alayhi salam says something. So this was the power. Imagine there's a king here who understands birds. This is not ordinary. So Sulayman alayhi salam has Hoopoe coming in, and Hoopoe speaks straight away. He says, أَحَطُّ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطُ بِهِ. So before anything, he gives like when you're in trouble, when you're in trouble, instead of saying, well, I'd like to explain myself why I've been absent, let me start with the moment that I went away. If you start with that, man, you're going to get slapped. Because the person hasn't got patience to listen to you. When someone's angry, or when someone's upset with you, you better get to the bottom of it quick. And that's something that we learn from this. So Hudhud did something really good. He started something which, he said something which straight away would take the attention of Sulayman alayhi salam and all the courtiers that were there. He said, أَحَطُّ بِمَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ. He said, I have encompassed or surrounded or seen the whereabouts of something which you haven't encompassed. And he's saying to the king, what you don't know, I know. Wow. Now it's not like boasting or saying, well, what in the world do you know? You're just king sitting on a throne. Yeah, I'm doing the big job for you. I'm watching the sky. It's not like that. What it was like is, I have come to you, your majesty, your royal highness, Sulayman alayhi salam, I've come to you and I've seen something, look, which you haven't seen. And I've managed to encounter something in my journey out there which you haven't done in your kingdom and while you've been a king. وَجِئْتُكْ مِنْ سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ. And I bring you. Now this is where, of course, when he said the first part, it could be that there's always a possibility that Hudhud could be lying. Hudhud could be making this up. Okay, just because someone comes to you and tells you certain news and they were absent and you want to try and get a good explanation from them and they tell you that I've seen something you haven't seen. How do you know they're telling you the truth? So that's why Hudhud added on, وَجِئْتُكَ مِن سَبَإٍ بِنَبَإٍ يَقِينٍ. I've come to you from Saba, from Yemen. Now, Sulayman alayhi salam is in Jerusalem, and that's where his kingdom, the main part of his kingdom was. Of course, he had a large kingdom all over the Arab world and all over the sort of whole area. And Hudhud had traveled about 2,000 kilometers south east towards Yemen. In Yemen, there's the Sana'a, there's Ma'arib, there's these places. Near there's a place called Saba. Now, currently, it's about a good sort of 3 days, they call it a 3 days journey or something from Sana'a. So anyway, it's in Yemen, it's in the south part of the Arabian Peninsula. Hudhud traveled 2,000 miles that way to see, what was there, and came across something which was astonishing. So Hudhud said, I've come from Saba, but I've come to you with news that is convincing. Binaba'in yaqeen. Why Hudhud added this on is to substantiate the fact that, look, I'm not lying. I'm bringing you news that is going to be really, really good news for you to know that I've gone so far and I know that this exists. Because Sulayman alayhi salam thinks that he is the one in charge. There is no other king or queen in the good few thousand kilometers around him. There is no one to challenge him. And he's totally unaware that there's a whole kingdom that's operating right, by his side. That could be a threat. Potentially it could be a threat. So, Hudhud says, this is ayah number 23 now. Inni wajadtum ra'ah tamlikuhum. I found a woman who is in charge and who's ruling over these people in Saba. This is Bilqis. He's talking about Bilqis. Later on she becomes Muslim, and according to reports as well, later on she actually marries Sulayman alayhi salatu wasalam. Some reports say she doesn't marry him, some reports say she does marry him. I go for, I'm a bit more inclined towards the ones that she actually marries him later on. But definitely the Quran establishes that she actually becomes a Muslim later on. But at this time, her situation is that she's not actually a believer in any of the scriptures. Hudhud says, وَأُوتِيَتْ مِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Now this is something surprising that Hudhud throws at Sulayman alayhi salam, which makes Sulayman alayhi salam think that seriously, what is Hudhud saying? Because Hudhud said, أُوتِيَتْ مِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. She's been given from everything. Meaning that if you go back to the 16th ayah of the surah, Sulayman alayhi salam said, وَأُوتِينَا مِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Because of Allah's bounties on me and my father, we've been given from everything. Meaning that Allah has given us so much. And Hudhud is saying, well, this woman has also got a big kingdom and she's been given a lot. وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ. And the most symbolic thing about her kingdom is the size of her throne, which kind of indicated that, people sometimes they want to look big, so they do a lot of things like, right now that Mr. Trump is in America, every time he stands there, he's got his 747 behind him. You've seen that? Yeah. Kind of shows, who's in charge. Yeah. So people in the past did this. People did this to, grand house, a massive garden, walls that are surrounding it, cannons that are on the top of the walls ready to blow anyone out, moat around this castle that you've got. These are things that tell you that you're a person with great possession, great power. So one thing that Bilqis did is that she had this wonderful throne. But this throne, inside the throne, she had put jewels inside. So, the emeralds and diamonds and so on, or whatever the precious stones were, she actually had put those precious stones inside her throne. And her throne, sometimes you have a chair, sometimes you have a big chair. She had this massive throne, whether she looked small on it or what, but her throne showed that she was a woman of great, possession, of great sort of assets that Allah had given her, wealth Allah had given her. She was that woman. Now, these were things that Hudhud was now reporting back. So far what we've got is that he knows something Sulayman alayhi salam doesn't know. He's come with news that is convincing, number 2. Number 3 is that it's a woman that is ruling. So it's a woman that has got so much power. and she's also got from everything Allah's given her. She's managed to have whatever. I mean, Hoopoe didn't say Allah gave it to her, but Hoopoe was saying that she's got from everything, meaning that she's got a lot of things that she's accumulated. She's got a massive throne, and then he adds on to say the sixth thing, وَجَدْتُهَا وَقَوْمَهَا يَسْجُدُونَ لِلشَّمْسِ. The surprising thing is that she and all her people, they worship the sun every day. They don't worship Allah. So they are sun worshippers. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمْ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. And the shaitan or the devil has made it something that is adorned in their hearts to worship the sun. So he has misguided them from the path, فَهُمْ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ, and they're not guided to the path. Now why Hoopoe was adding this on is so that Sulayman alayhi salam doesn't think that a bird goes over there to another kingdom, and after seeing my kingdom goes over to another kingdom and starts getting surprised so much, starts coming to me and lecturing me about another kingdom and tells me how great that kingdom is. It's kind of an insult. If you're an ambassador and you come back to your country and you say, President, I just want to say that those folks over there, when I saw them, they were much greater in number than what you are. And imagine someone comes back and says, Mr. President, I would say to you that you kind of need to increase the size of your kingdom because these people are looking a bit, greater than you. Now, if somebody comes with that kind of language or that kind of approach, then they'll get annoyed. Now, Hoopoe is adding on the fact that, look, I know it's wrong they're worshipping the sun. I know it's wrong that the shaitan took them away from Allah. And then he adds on. He says, shouldn't they be prostrating to the one الَّذِي يُخْرِجُ الْخَبْءَ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ? This is Hoopoe still speaking. Sulayman alayhi salam, shouldn't they be worshipping Allah and bowing down to the one who takes out the seed from the hidden treasures from the heavens and the earth? And shouldn't they be worshipping or prostrating the one who knows what is all the things that all of you guys hide and all of you guys put apparent? Because he doesn't know what reaction Sulayman alayhi salam is going to give right now. Allahu la ilaha illahu Rabbul Arshil Azim. Allah is the one that there is no other Lord besides him. Rabbul Arshil Azim. He is the Lord of the great throne. Meaning that he just said, Hoopoe just said in the presence of Sulayman alayhi salam that this woman has got a great throne. So then he added on in his speech. He's quite clever. Just so that Sulayman alayhi salam doesn't get upset. He said, Rabbul Arshil Azim. They should be worshipping the one who has the great throne. Allah has the great throne. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
He's trying to say that, look, okay, Your Majesty, I've been there, seen it, I said a few words, but I hope you don't think that I'm someone who's been mesmerized by their power. And I hope you don't think that my Iman has been affected. That's why he gave the whole thing about Iman, shouldn't they be worshipping Allah? And I hope you don't think that just because I saw her with a great throne, that I don't realize that, you don't have a big throne and Allah has obviously the greatest throne. This was a way of trying to dampen the whole spirit. Now, this teaches us a lot. There's a lot going on here. Because, sometimes when you read this, you think, why did Hoopoe need to speak so much? Do you understand? And why did Allah need to report all of this to us? It could have been simply like, Sulayman alayhi salam, he has Hoopoe come and Hoopoe, where you been? Okay, I've seen, all the first things, all the way up to the end of, let's say, maybe ayah 24 or something. But the whole of the ayah 25, 26 is extra things about Allah. Why did Allah need to report all of that? Why? Because it teaches us something, which is, when you're speaking to someone, depending on who you're speaking, you better put the record straight. You don't say what you want to who you want, when you want, and how you want. Okay, especially when it's someone in authority and in power, there's a certain way to speak to them. Somebody who's in, you don't speak to a person who's a doctor the same way you would speak to a street cleaner. And again, no offense to the street cleaner, but you wouldn't speak to them the same way. People say, it's all right, it's my right, freedom of speech, whatever. Listen, you got freedom of speech, but there are certain things in this world that you've got to understand. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Anzilun nas manazilahum, put people in their places. Give people the prestigious place that they deserve, or lower them down or raise them above according to the status that they have. And Sulaiman alayhi salam sitting here as a king, and Hudhud coming with news, he better have a good reason to be absent. So when he's speaking, obviously he's saying all these things, but then he's trying to cover it to show Sulaiman alayhi salam that, look, I'm serious, I've seen all of this, and I hope I haven't made error in your presence in the way I've spoken. That's what comes out of this. Okay? This is a sign of a good and a great civilization. Now, Sulaiman alayhi salam, he could have turned around and said, Hudhud, fine, I believe you. Let's straight away, guys, let's, get our forces together, let's go down. Sulaiman alayhi salam could have said that, because it could be a potential threat. Sabah could be a potential threat. Bilqis, the queen, could be a potential threat. But he didn't do that. Sulaiman alayhi salam could have straight away said that I'm going to test these people or something like that. No, he didn't. The first thing was to Hudhud. He said, Sananzur, as-sadaqta am kunta min al-kadhibin. This is ayah number 27 of Surah 27. He said, we'll see soon whether you have said the truth or whether you've just lied. Now, there's no reason really for Sulaiman alayhi salam to believe that this bird is just made a whole fabrication and come to him. But you know what it teaches us? This teaches us, no matter how good any person is to you, no matter how close they are, no matter how good their track record of history is with you, you better always treat them equally with everybody else, that you know that there could be a possibility that they failed on this one occasion. What I mean by this is that, some people, they see a usual suspect. You know what I'm trying to say is that, there's a person amongst us who's stolen in the past. Let's say he stole once in the past. So another theft happens, it probably is him, innit? It happens the second time, probably him or his cronies that are around. Now it's wrong, because the thing is, he could have done it once, but maybe he's not doing it another 10 times. But he gets accused for nothing. That's one extreme. The other extreme is somebody who's been good, somebody who's really good in this masjid, somebody who's always, looking after everyone and so on. You think, mashallah, alhamdulillah, look at that brother. You think, I wish I was like him. You don't know, he could be the thief. Seriously. You don't know. He could be the thief. You guys don't believe me, right? You're thinking, maybe, Shaykh, maybe. You're just sitting here telling some jackanori's. No. I've caught someone in my life, in a masjid, who was the closest to the people of the masjid. The trusted person. This is a real story I'm telling you. He used to come, and he was so trusted, he had the keys to every single door of the masjid. He had the keys to every single box of every box in the masjid. And he used to come every week. And you know what? Fi sabilillah. Allah. Say Allah. You know, fi sabilillah means for the sake of Allah. Fi sabilillah, this man used to clean the masjid, no pay ever he asked for. He used to clean the masjid. He used to come 7 in the morning on Friday, clean the masjid all the way till Jummah. Every Friday, non-stop, never missed it. Fi sabilillah. Say Allah. Don't say Allah. This guy, honestly, you look at him, you think, wow, this man is coming, for the sake of Allah, voluntary, never takes in any money, cleans the entire masjid from one end to another end, hoovers it. He does the jet washing outside. He cleans all the bins. He empties the donation boxes, but he gives it straight to the main person in charge. Okay, and everything's wonderful. This one man on his own, he does 6 hours, about 6 hours every single Jum'ah, and he won't go home till about 3-4 o'clock. And you think, mashallah. And you know how long he's doing it for? He's doing it for about 10 years. Mashallah. That's what we're here. Mashallah. Yeah. So what used to happen is that he used to open it in the morning, obviously the donation boxes. And once I asked him, I said, Uncle, you open those boxes. I said, what do we get for the masjid? Like, sometimes you want to hear, mashallah, people have been donating. You want to hear how much we're raising and so on. He says, He said, nothing, pennies, pennies. I said, pennies? Okay, anyway, so another week went by. I asked him how much. He said, oh, pennies, coins. He used to tell me just a few scraps. That's all people give. People don't give to the masjid, this and that. So I'm hearing this now for weeks and weeks and weeks. And one day I said, you know what, I'm not going to take this anymore. I was like, no way. I want to make uncle happy. So what I did is that I made sure that I was the last one out the masjid on the Thursday, okay, Thursday evening, and I made sure that I was the one who donated a good few notes in a certain box, and I said, tomorrow I'm going to make uncle happy. Yeah? And after Fajr, when the uncle came and he's opening all the boxes and he'd done all that, I said to him, I said, uncle, I said, how's the donation boxes? He said, pennies, pennies. I thought, whoa, because I know I was the last one out. I'm the first one, or one of the first people in, and this guy is the only one that's gone with a key and opened that donation box. And he's saying to me for weeks and weeks and weeks, pennies, and on this occasion he says pennies. I thought, then what happened is I thought, okay, I'm going to test him at the following week. So what I did is that I put something on there for the Friday, because he comes on a Friday, so I have to do it on the Thursday. So I put something on the notes, put something written on the notes, and I put it in the box, and I asked him the next day, because I knew that now if he's taking it, then there's a signature of mine, or there's something I put on the notes that I would know those are the notes that came out of my wallet. So next day I said to him, I said, uncle, how is it going? Pennies, pennies. I thought, okay, pennies. At Jummah time, in front of some trustees and others, I actually said, I took out 2 20s. I said to the uncle, I said, uncle, you got any change for this? Because I knew that what I'd put last night was 4 tenors, 4 £10 notes. And then from his wallet, he takes out 4 £10 notes. It's exchange just to get some change. So I gave him the 2 £20 notes, I take the 4 £10, and on those 4 £10 notes is the markings that I put. Come from his wallet. And you guys said earlier, yeah, 10 years cleaning the masjid, mashallah, yeah? Sometimes the most trusted one could be doing something. And later on, alhamdulillah, we found out he was doing something. Alhamdulillah, we managed to get the person out of the masjid. But the thing was that so close, somebody so close to you. In fact, they're giving tens and tens of hours. This guy would come other times on Sundays and he would do things for the masjid. On the weekends, he would come do things for the masjid. And the thing is, I'm not saying this happens in every masjid, guys. Don't stop donating, right? Please, guys, yeah? Okay, you might say, yeah, next time they come for Jummah collection, no. Pennies. No. I'm not asking you not to donate. And I donate, you donate, we should do that. We should carry on. But all my point was that sometimes the usual suspect is actually the one telling you the truth. And sometimes the close one who you trust is the one who's telling you a lie. And it's amazing sometimes when you go on in life and when you're hit by this, I couldn't believe it. I almost fainted. I thought, how this man out of everybody? No way. And whoever I told in the masjid of the committee members, whoever I told, they said, no way. They said, I am making things up. I'm your imam, guys, or I'm a person who leads prayers and so on. They said, no, that person never. That's when I had to do the test. And when I caught the person out, once wasn't enough. I had to catch him out again in front of them. And a second time when I caught him out, this was another blatant, blasé way of caught him out. And that's when, the trustee that saw him almost acted as if he's basically seen a jinn. It's like, he's walking from here to here, from here to here. No way. Because they're best friends. And they've been, in this organization for maybe 10, 15 years. Never ever thought that this person would do it. It's like your trusted person. How? The person's got keys to every single door of the masjid, every donation box of the masjid. So all I'm trying to say is that Sulayman alayhi salam, when he said to Hoopoe, there's a massive lesson here. is that when you have, like, even when you have children, you know, sometimes with children you think, ah, yeah, this one's always telling the truth and this one's never telling the truth. No, sorry. Treat them fairly. The one that's always telling you the truth could one day tell you a lie. And the one that's probably lying could tell you the truth on one occasion. And the same thing with employees, the same thing with people in your life, in society. Don't treat people differently just because they've got a bad history or they've got a good history. So that's why Sulayman alayhi salam said, well, I'm going to find out whether you've been telling the truth or lying. So Sulayman alayhi salam now puts him to the test. You know, Hoopoe has come 2,000 kilometers away from Sabah. Sulayman alayhi salam, he wrote a letter. He put it together. He gave it to the Hoopoe. Now obviously birds would hold it in their claws, or they would, you know, these are trained sort of birds. And Hoopoe had the mission now. Sulayman alayhi salam said, okay, let's find out if he's telling the truth. Go all the way to their kingdom and go and drop this onto the queen, onto the kingdom where the queen is. And then you come back, meaning that you move away from there and then stay close by enough so that you can see what's actually happening and you listen to the conversation, and I want you to tell me what is it that they're planning. Now, nobody knows what's in this letter. Hoopoe takes the letter all the way back to Sabah, and then Hoopoe drops it, and Bilqis now receives the letter. This is ayah number 29. And Bilqis, when she receives it, what we understand is that Bilqis is a very highly intelligent woman. She's not one of these emotional individuals. Sulayman alayhi salam is not an emotional individual. And my friends, you know, the big lesson in here is, doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, if you're trying to run something and you're emotional, forget it. I'm out. Right? If you're emotional and if things, you know, like get you moody and you suddenly like lose something in your head, yeah, man or woman, I don't care, man or woman, you know, sometimes people get moody, it's like, you know, they get moody, it's like, they got beef with you and everything comes out. It's like, yeah, I remember you did this before, I remember you did, and they go for you. You know, there's so many moods. It could be sometimes the moody, they don't want to talk to anyone. Sometimes the moody, they want to talk to you, but they want to put you in trouble. They want to make life difficult. Sometimes when someone's moody, you talk rational. But I tell you one thing, with both hands like this to you, brother and sister, yeah? If you're talking to an emotional person who is emotional at that time, your rational language is going to go like this and then go like that. Basically, it's going to be turned over, twisted. An emotional person hearing rational arguments, they'll just turn it over on its head. Guys, do you know what I'm trying to say or not? Yeah. I'll give you an example. If you find somebody who's fallen in love with a girl, let's say there's a boy who's fallen in love with a girl, and the girl's not going to be good for him. So you try and talk to him. You know that this man or this boy here is going to, you know, he's in love with a girl. And you try and tell him, listen, this girl's not good for you. He says, why? Because this girl she hasn't got Islam in her life. Or this girl, she hasn't got good habits in her life. We've seen it. This girl will ruin your life later on. This girl, this girl, that. And you're talking all rational arguments. This guy with 2 love hearts in his eyes, like, nah. He's emotional. Sometimes when you have, you know, a husband and wife arguing, the best thing to do sometimes is whoever's emotional, let them rant on. But the one who's not emotional, let him walk away. Let her walk away. Because if you talk to an emotional person at the time they're emotional, you're not going to get anywhere. You'll get abused. You'll get taunted. You'll be told things you'd never want to hear in your life. You'll say good things, you'll hear bad things, you'll say things that are true, you'll hear false things. You'll say, Ya Allah, how did you say that? They'll say it's true, and I'm going to give you another 10 things as well to hear. And the next morning, you know, the next day, emotional people normally after 1 day, after 3 days, they're like, I'm really sorry. I don't know how I said those things to you. I'm so sorry, I never meant that. And you know, please forgive me. It's like, yeah, I can forgive you, fine. But you caused some damage, serious damage. And the best thing when a person's emotional is to just stay out of the way. Is to stay out of the way. Now, two level-headed people, two rational people can get together on and they can make progress happen. They can make civilization continue in a good way. Now here what we understand is that, look, there's a woman who's a ruler, there's a man who's a ruler. The man is rational, the woman is rational. That's why both of them, let's see how they sort this problem out. Because the man, Sulayman alayhi salam, sees the woman as a threat, sees Bilqis as a threat. If Bilqis doesn't give in to me, then I think that one day she might invade my country or my kingdom with her army. And Bilqis, if she thinks the same thing, there's going to be a fight, there's going to be war here. So when that letter drops, and it comes to Bilqis, she says, Ya ayyuhal mala. She calls her council of people with whom she consults. She says, Inni ulqiya ilayya kitab. A letter has been dropped onto me. She says not just a letter, she says a noble letter, a really good letter. Now subhanAllah, she is a person who didn't react with emotions. She could have said, what's this? A letter to me. I'm Queen of Sheba. I rule. There's trouble. There's trouble straight away if a person starts to react like that. She said it's a noble, it's a good letter. Why did she say good? Why did she say it's a noble letter? And the thing was, she said it's been dropped onto me. What she meant by that is that, look, I haven't been in contact with anybody, it's been given to me. So don't think that I've been in contact with another king out there and I'm bringing you some news. No, this thing has fallen onto me and I need to consult you. She said, ayah number 30, she says, Innahu min Sulayman. It's from King Solomon. Now they knew who King Solomon was. They knew Sulayman alayhi salam who he was. Okay? So because they're a little kingdom, Sulayman alayhi salam has the greater kingdom. So normally the smaller ones always hear about the bigger ones. The bigger ones might not always know who the smaller ones are. So they knew who Sulayman alayhi salam was, and she said, well, it's from Solomon, King Solomon. وَإِنَّهُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. But instead of Solomon, this was the outstanding thing. This was what made you think that Sulayman alayhi salam or Solomon, King Solomon, let's just refer, I'm only saying King Solomon now because I'm trying to give you the understanding of Bilqis, who's not a Muslim at this moment. So King Solomon, who has sent me this letter, he's not sent me this letter because he had some selfish gains to achieve. He does not want to overpower me and my kingdom for his selfish gains. No. He should have started this letter to say, like any king or any queen that writes it, especially in that time, they would say, from King Solomon to Queen Sheba. That's how the letter would normally start. And that was a practice of the time. Even in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, he wrote letters and he said, Min Muhammad. And he wrote his name, Min Muhammad, ila, Sultan or ila Azim Rum, to the great, to the, what do they call it, the Azim Rum, Qaisar, yes, sorry, emperor, to the Roman emperor. Okay, to the Roman emperor. This was a letter we've got in Sahih Bukhari that the Prophet ﷺ wrote. So that was the norm. Now this letter was different. Why? Because this letter said, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This letter comes to you in the name of Allah, not in the name of Sulayman, not in the name of King Solomon, not in the name of a king of the earth. This letter I send you in the name of the King of all kings, Allah, who is the Rahman, most merciful. And he uses the word Rahman to show that because of Allah, who is the Rahman, I, the King Solomon on the ground, will have mercy on you. If you do what I tell you, I'm not here to fight you. This was do you see what I'm trying to say? It starts with Allah's name to show that, look, I'm not selfish. Second thing it shows is that it's from Allah, meaning that I am only a king on this earth because of Allah. It's not because of myself. Third thing is that Allah's name, I could have taken so many. I could have said Bismillahil Qahhar Al-Jabbar. I could have said in the name of Allah, who's the subduer, who puts tyrants in their places. I could have used those names, but I didn't. I used Rahman and Rahim, the most merciful, the most kind. Why? To show that Allah has mercy, and because I'm under Him, I will have mercy too. And the simple message was in ayah number 31, Allah ta'alu alayya wa'tuni muslimin. Don't try and become people who want to overpower me. Don't try and show your powers against me. Don't do that. But just come to me as people who've just accepted my authority and become part of my kingdom. So don't try anything. Don't try any games. Don't try and fight me. All I want you to do is come under my power. Now, Bilqis received this letter and she thought, you know what? It's from a king, King Solomon, who's the King Solomon the Great. He's trying to ask us, he'll be good to us if only we just submit. But Bilqis, if she now starts, we learn a beautiful thing here, is that if Bilqis, she's the queen, she can make a decision. And she's the sole queen, and she can say, look, I make a decision, tomorrow we're going all of us to Sulayman a.s. kingdom, and we will basically tell him that we're under him. She could have done that, but she didn't. We learn another lesson, which is, it's very good to always consult, even the people who are under you. So if you're a father of the family, if you're a mother of the family, please consult your young ones. Even if it's something that you don't need their opinion on much, but just consult them, just to make them feel that yes, they've been consulted. And you never know, just like Sulayman alayhi salam surprised that Dawood alayhi salam, yes or no? Yes. On a few occasions, you never know, your young ones might surprise you with some ideas that they come with. If you're going to do something in the family, the husband should consult the wife. It's always good to do this. There's a very good relationship in consultation. If you're an employer and you consult your employees, there's a very good mahabba and love and cooperation, like cooperating with one another, that works very well. Where you have a boss that doesn't listen to his employees, you usually get trouble. Where you have a father or mother or someone who's in authority, someone who says, I don't care what you say, you just do what I say, you usually get trouble. Okay? Usually when we talk to each other and we consult, there's a lot of good things. So Bilqis, what does she do? She consults. She says, Ya ayyuhal mala, O my council, aftuni fi amri. Tell me, give me your verdicts about this matter. Ma kuntu qati'atan amran hatta tashhadun. I'm not going to make a decisive, an absolute determined decision until you all witness or give your verdicts and what you think, your opinions. I want to hear those first. Okay, this is ayah number 32. So her, soldiers, her army, the people who were in the, not the soldier army at that time, sorry. They had obviously soldiers, they had their armies, but the representatives of those were inside that council. Like the general of the army or the general of, the minister or something, they were all there. So they said, Nahnu ulu quwwatin wa ulu ba'sin shadid. Their opinion was, Bilqis, we have fought before and we are very good at fighting and we have great power and we have we've got a proven history of how we have taken on armies. Wal amru ilayk, but we leave it to you. Fanzuri madha ta'murin, do what you like. Now they were also very good, because it's like, okay, we can fight, we're ready to fight, just tell us to fight, we'll fight. But we'll leave it to you. What is it that you want us to do? Because they know that this woman is a level-headed woman. She's not an emotional woman. And these are the best people you can have in power. Now what she does is, she then speaks, ayah number 34. She says, Innal muluk idha dakhalu qaryatan afsaduha. When kings enter a city, meaning they come in to take over a city, when kings do that, they usually corrupt the entire city. They'll destroy the city. If we go to war right now, Sulayman alayhi salam will come here, maybe you can win. But if you fight, our city of Saba is going to be destroyed. Yes or no? With war it will be destroyed. Many lives will be lost. Many monuments that we've got will be destroyed. وَجَعَلُوا أَعِزَّةَ أَهْلِهَا أَذِلَّةً. Now this is now political science that we're studying. Quran has got every single science you want inside it, but this is political science. That this woman, whatever she's saying, she is now talking political science. She said, وَجَعَلُوا أَعِزَّةَ أَهْلِهَا أَذِلَّةً. The whole reason why kings do this, whole reason why armies do this, whole reason why presidents and others will do this is they want to turn the most supreme and most dignified people and the highest people in a country, they want to turn them into the lowest. That is the reason why they do it. There's no other reason. Now this is war. Anyone out there who's having war, I want you to think about this, brothers and sisters, for a moment. Anyone out there who's having war, a lot of the wars out there is because they want to turn someone who's in power into someone who has no power. That's what it's about. It's like, hey, you big? Yeah, me bigger than you. You bigger than me? Okay, let's go and fight. You punch me one, I'll punch you two. You kick me three, I'll kick you four. You try and bring your ammunition against me, I'll bring my army against you. You bring your army against me, okay, I'll try and obliterate you. And then you try and nuke me, I'll nuke you before you can nuke me, and that's what it is. It's just, it becomes nafsi, it becomes very egotistic. It's all about, I'm gonna show you who's big. That's what it's about. Who's big? That's all it's about, and it's really sad. Most of these fights in the world are to do with who's big and who's can make who's small. So she then adds on a beautiful thing. I remember a scholar said to me once that this is Allah Azza wa Jal, telling us this through the mouth of Bilqis for a big reason. Right at the end of this verse, ayah number 34 of Surah number 27, she could have just stopped there. Allah could have stopped quoting her at Adillah. قالت إن الملوك إذا دخلوا قرية أفسدوها وجعلوا أعزة أهلها أذلة. And Allah could have carried on saying وإني مرسلة إليهم بهدية فناظرة بما يرجع المرسلون. She could have just carried on. But no, Allah added a statement of Bilqis here. وَكَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. Like that, they'll carry on doing. You know what that means? Bilqis said, until the day of judgment, or until time will go on, kings will always do this. They'll destroy cities, they'll destroy people just to show who's big. She then added on, she said, and the lesson for us is that, look, people will carry on fighting. If you think that, look, there was a time in my life I thought, subhanAllah, we had the bad 60s, we had the bad 70s, and you think, well, 80s, okay, how worse can it get? Hopefully it gets better, because police should be learning, army should be learning, surveillance is getting better, things should get better on the earth, right? No, they don't. No, they don't. And I used to get frustrated. I used to think, man, we're now living in the 90s, I'm thinking, it should get better, but still, crimes are happening to another level. And then you get to the noughties, you think, they should stop, but they don't stop. Now I'm convinced what she said, Bilqis said, is the thing that people will carry on doing this. But just because people do it, you shouldn't make your world miserable. You should just carry on doing the best you can do and try and be the better of the two people that might be fighting. She then says, وَإِنِّي مُرْسِلَةٌ إِلَيْهِمْ بِهَدِيَّةٍ. She called some of her accounts. She said, I'm going to call some of you, appoint some of you to take a really good gift to Sulayman alayhi salam. You will travel from here all the way to Jerusalem, and you will personally hand it over to Sulayman, and then I want to know what he does in return. Okay? Now this woman is clever, this woman is intelligent. You know what this teaches us is, if you can't beat someone and you're fearing that you might get beaten, the best thing to do is what? Not bribe, I wouldn't use the word bribe.
Making them ally.
Neutralize it.
Neutralize them.
Okay? Just make it neutral. Make it even. If they want to get one over you, you think, I can't get one over them, but I'm probably going to be beaten. The best thing to do is to make it level. This woman is very clever. The woman is very clever. So what she does is she sends a good gift, a really nice gift that if a king was to receive it, would say, whoa, that's nice. So what does a gift tell you? If a gift comes to a king, first it tells you that these people don't want to fight. There's friendship, they're offering friendship to me. Second thing it says is that they're giving me a gift, I should basically be good enough to give them a gift in return. This is what kings and queens used to do in the past. When a gift used to come, a really good gift, a gift would be like something that you could treasure as a king. We're not talking about a small gift here. We're talking about something a king or a queen can treasure. Something great as that. You'd think by the least that I owe something to these people. But the minimum, the bottom line is they're not here to fight. And they won't be a threat to me. They're friends. So she said, I want to see what he sends. Now the Mufassirin say there's two reasons why she did this. One is the one I just said, which is she's trying to make it level. Second is she heard, it is another tafsir, is that she heard that prophets, if he is a true prophet, then prophets don't take worldly gains. He said his letter started with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which shows he's only ruling the earth, on the earth because of Allah. If that's true and he has no selfish gains, then I'm going to put him to the test and give him a big gift. If he accepts it, he's not true to his word. If he does if he does accept it, he's not true to his word. But if he rejects it, then I know that he must be a prophet. He must be one of those who truly claims to be a prophet. Do you understand that? Yeah. That's why she said, Bima yarji'ul mursalun. Now, the gift comes to Sulayman. These members of Bilqis's, her sovereignty, they come all the way over to Jerusalem, 2,000 kilometers away, and they come to the outskirts of Sulayman alayhi salam's kingdom, and they are amazed. When they saw the sheer size of Sulayman alayhi salam's kingdom, they thought, hey, we can't fight these people. We can't fight these people. They were convinced. As they moved into Sulayman alayhi salam's kingdom, the more they moved in, the more they thought, you know what, there's no match against this king. And as they came closer and closer to his actual palace, there were armies out there ready to meet them, and on both sides there were those with swords. And these ambassadors came all the way through the line of swords, all the way into the palace of Sulayman alayhi salam. And when they saw the magnificence of what he has and the power he has, they just presented the gift to Sulayman alayhi salam and they waited. And Sulayman alayhi salam said, this is ayah number 36, he said, Atumiddunani bimal. He looked at them and he said, you're trying to bribe me now? You're trying to give me wealth? You think I don't have enough? فَمَا آتَانِيَ اللَّهُ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا آتَاكُمْ. What Allah has given me is better than what Allah has given you. You take it back. بَلْ أَنْتُمْ بِهَدِيَّتِكُمْ تَفْرَحُونَ. You should be happy with your own gift. Take it back to your Queen Sheba and go and tell her this. Go and say that I've rejected your gift. Now, they took the gift back and they thought, you know what? There's going to be some serious trouble here. So they zoomed it back to Yemen to tell her that, listen, Queen, you better make a move. And Sulayman alayhi salam, he sent a message. He said, Irji' ilayhi. He said, go back, go and tell him this. I'm going to bring you an army now because you're trying to bribe me. Now this is strength. Maybe it was a good gesture from her. So Sulayman alayhi salam has to show that he's not going to take it. Even if it's a good gesture, he's not going to accept it. Why? Because the moment you accept a gift like that, you've neutralized yourself. And he has to show who's in power. Because of Allah's sake, not because he's got any selfish gain. So he said, look, tell them, I'm going to come with an army, la qibala lahum biha. You've got no way of overtaking this army. There's no challenge. وَلَا نُخْرِجَنَّهُمْ مِنْهَا. I will take all of you out of Saba, the kingdom of Saba, out of there disgraced. Now Sulayman alayhi salam is ready to get his armies ready and to do this. These people come all the way back to Malika Saba. They come to the queen of, the Queen Sheba, the queen of Saba. They say to her straight away, look, it's looking bad. Right? She straight away realized that he must be someone who's not for any selfish gains. So she gets her people together. She says, come on, let's start making a move towards Sulayman alayhi salam to try and get his attention before he comes down with his army. So now they've just left. And Sulayman alayhi salam had wahi from Allah that they've left, he had inspiration from Allah, that they've left Saba to come towards Jerusalem. So now Sulayman alayhi salam, he knew this. He said straight away, he called his courtiers together and he said, which one of you will be able to bring for me the throne of Bilqis? Because she's got this massive throne. I want to surprise her. And he's going to now start some tests. He's going to test her on a couple of levels to try and bring her to Islam. Now, what he does is something magnificent, and inshallah in next episode, inshallah we'll talk about this, and hopefully we can finish off the story as well. What he does is something really significant, because he shows us that with an intelligent person, you have to give intelligent dawah. You can't give the same dawah to every person. With an intelligent person, there's intelligent dawah. So he's going to prepare now some ways of making her believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? Inshallah, jazakumullah khair. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.
الذكر علم ونور الحاملات سنا ونور والرسمات هنا سرور يا حلوة تلك السنين.
The Safar curriculum covers all the Islamic educational needs of young Muslims today in a fun, simple and engaging way. Tried and tested for over 15 years at one of the UK's leading maktabs, the curriculum has been adopted by hundreds of institutions around the world and makes your child's journey in seeking knowledge easy, meaningful and dynamic. This innovative and comprehensive curriculum covers Quran and Tajweed, Islamic studies, du'as and surahs, as well as Arabic in an integrated and structured way. Visit safarpublications.org to find out more.